Hi, everyone. This is Maheen, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast, where we dive into topics that matter for Canadian entrepreneurs and communities alike. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Lauren Mostowyk, the head of integrated marketing and communications at Interac. Lauren leads the brand and communication strategy for Interac, one of Canada's most trusted financial brands. In her role, she ensures that Interac's mass message of security, empowerment, and financial confidence resonates across all platforms. And today, she'll be sharing insights from Interact's latest Financial Literacy Month survey, focusing on the decline in financial confidence among newcomers, the barriers they face, and the need for tailored support. Thank you so much for joining us, Lauren. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. How are you?
Thank you so much, Maheen. It's so nice to be here. That was a really wonderful intro. You really summarized a lot of the work that we're doing. Thank you.
No worries. It's an absolute pleasure. Very pleased to have you on the podcast. Lauren, let's begin a discussion with something that I mentioned in the outro, which is the financial confidence decline in newcomers to Canada, because financial confidence is it's quite a key component for settling into a new country. But many newcomers, they experience a significant decline after arrival. Lauren, could you please share insights from Interact's survey on the decline in financial confidence among newcomers to Canada?
Yes, I'd love to. Okay, so we know that November is Financial Literacy Month, and this is always an opportunity for Interact to look a little deeper into the lives and the behaviors of the Canadians that we support. We have the privilege of being in the pocket of almost every Canadian coast to coast, and that affords us a different kind of view than maybe any of our competitors into how Canadians are acting and reacting to the circumstances around them. We wanted to focus specifically on newcomers during this year's Financial Literacy Month because it's such an important cohort for the Canadian economy overall. And we are interested as Interac in figuring out how to best support this group. What we found when we looked into the idea of financial confidence, which is something that we're really focused on in general, a lot of banks and other payment related organizations are thinking about the functional benefits of their products, which we do as well, but looking into the human experience is so important to us because the way you spend and send money and earn money is really intrinsic to who you are as a human being, and your well-being can be affected by it. So financial confidence is something that we want every Canadian to feel, and especially newcomers. So what we found, and this is not a great stat, is that newcomers feel confident when they get to Canada, and then about a month later, that confidence is cut in half. And that could be because the practices and the programs that they're used to from their home country, they don't necessarily translate to a Canadian context. And Canada's financial system is very unique. And this is often, I would imagine, something that they can't quite predict before they get here. They get here, they start trying to experience that financial life, and they quickly lose confidence.
No, it's quite eye-opening to hear how much confidence can shift after arrival, and this truly highlights the need for supportive resources. Now, Lauren, in your view, what specific factors contribute most to the decline in confidence, especially during those early months?
Yes. So there's a number of them. Some of them are things that other Canadians are facing as well. But what newcomers told us through our research was that the decline in confidence can be attributed to a number of factors: the high cost of living, the lack of Canadian work experience. This is particularly called out by Gen Z newcomers, and difficulty finding affordable housing. It's it's the barriers that they face, and they call these out as being contributing to their lack of confidence in far higher numbers than other Canadians. This also, I think, shows us the need for tailored support. One of the things that we found during the research is that treating newcomers as a group requiring a specific set of resources or education is a way to both connect with a newcomer and help them feel like they are being treated with their own level of expertise required.
No, thank you so much, Lauren. I mean, recognizing these factors is, I believe, the first step to really creating impactful solutions. And listeners, remember that building financial confidence is quite a journey, and resources are available to support newcomers every step of the way. Up next, let's look at some of the barriers that newcomers face beyond financial concerns. Because for many newcomers, adjusting to Canada's financial system is just one of many barriers that
Mhm.
they face when they're settling in. Lauren, could you shed some light on the non-financial barriers that impact newcomers' ability to gain financial confidence, such as language or cultural differences, perhaps?
Right. So our survey didn't specifically look into a lot of non-financial barriers, but we did find that on the financial side, these challenges include things like lack of budgeting experience in Canada with the Canadian context surrounding them, lack of investment knowledge, how to set themselves up for their future, and then really coping with an unexpected life event can be a confidence breaker when you're already dealing with so much as you get to Canada. So those were things that newcomers specifically called out for us.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you so much, Lauren. I mean, partnerships indeed have a crucial role in creating a supportive network. And based on that, we'd love to discuss the importance of targeted support systems that are designed specifically for newcomers. Now, to make a real difference, we know that tailored support is essential to empower newcomers in navigating Canada's financial landscape. Lauren, what kinds of targeted support does Interac provide, and how do these initiatives help newcomers build long-term financial confidence?
One of the things that came out really loud for us through this research was yes, newcomers to Canada want tailored support for them, but they also want to see these resources for newcomers by newcomers. That's a way that they can build trust with the resource that they're experiencing. That's a way to feel connected to the experience of other newcomers. And that was a big confirming stat for us as Interact because what we have the knowledge, but it helps us to go look for the partners who are newcomer driven so that they can bring that knowledge to the group of people that need it the most. And this means for us, we look at a bit of a multifaceted approach, understanding that we don't necessarily sit in the lived in experience of every newcomer that comes to Canada, but what can we use our power to bring to them? And so this means there's a couple things that we're doing today that I think are really valuable for newcomers. One is that Credit Canada, which is a nonprofit credit counseling organization, has created the Butterfly app, and Interac has sponsored it to make sure that it's free for any user. And the Butterfly app is specifically built for newcomers by newcomers, and it offers budgeting basics, cost of living resources, and currency conversion. One of the things that I like the most about it is that if you are a newcomer to Canada, I mean, you and I probably do this when we're traveling, right? You are shopping and you think, okay, if I convert that to Canadian dollars, is it
Mm,
expensive? Can I afford it? What is this? A newcomer does that on a day-to-day basis, trying to wrap their head around the cost of living. If you use the Butterfly app and build a budget, you can actually convert it to a home currency that feels familiar to you and help you begin to calibrate that budget to your Canadian life. And I think that's so valuable for people. So that's the Butterfly app is one of those things. And then the other thing that newcomers have told us they really value and need is mentorship. An
mm,
interesting part of the research when we think specifically about Gen Z, I was so impressed to see that a Gen Z newcomer understands the value of mentorship when it comes to building financial confidence. And in fact, I think 48% of them reported having a mentor already, but older cohorts of newcomers do not have that today. Only 33% of millennials and I think 21% of Gen Xers. So Incomes Access Employment, which is another organization that designs programs by newcomers for newcomers in terms of mentorship and career connection. And Interac is a big sponsor of Access Employment and has been for a number of years, which just means that Access can put on more events, work with more newcomers to help them both navigate the tech world or the financial services world from a job perspective, and even make mentor connections and job connections. In fact, a number of Access Employment participants have ended up at Interac in jobs here. So those are ways that has made us feel really good about the responsibility that we have to Canadians.
It's really inspiring to hear about these dedicated resources and these programs. They truly highlight Interac's commitment to fostering inclusion. Now, Lauren, will talk about some broader trends in financial literacy for newcomers and Interac's role in fostering a secure, inclusive environment. Because financial literacy, it's evolving with a growing need to adapt to resources to meet newcomers' new unique challenges. Lauren, could you share some of the broader trends in financial literacy for newcomers that Interac has observed, especially in the recent years?
I think where we should focus that question is on fraud and scams, because we've just spent a bunch of time talking about building financial confidence overall, but one of the other areas that's really important for us as Interac to know really well and then help educate Canadians on is protecting yourself against fraud and scams. And newcomers to Canada face that in a much higher proportion than other Canadians. Unfortunately, because bad actors are out there, newcomers are an easier target because of all the things that we just talked about. Their lack of experience in Canada, their lack of understanding the kind of Canadian context of the economy. And that means that we need to do extra work to help protect newcomers and equip them with the skills they need to spot a scam coming and stop it. So I've got a few stats on that I'd love to share. So the most frequent scams that target newcomers include fake job postings. So that, speaks back to the lack of Canadian work experience. It's hard to know if a job posting is real if you've never had a job in Canada. So 40% report fake job postings as a high rate of scam. Phishing attempts, that's where someone poses as a trusted organization or source and tries to get you to send the money. Impersonation of government officials. I was hearing this morning on the radio about the amount of immigration lawyer scams that exist for newcomers. And that's a really scary feeling. So when scammers pose as government officials, 34% say that that's a scam that they've experienced before. So these are specific tactics that are used to exploit a newcomer's needs and lack of familiarity, which is something that we should be speaking about more so that newcomers who are seeing these know that they're not the only one being targeted and know to spot them. We always talk about the action of stop, scrutinize, speak up. So for your listeners, for newcomers who are starting businesses in Canada, you're working so hard and you're wearing so many hats that it's easy to get distracted and taken in by a scam, which is why we say stop. Don't press the button. Don't send the thing without really scrutinizing it. And if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. Don't do it. And then speak up is report. Don't feel the shame of being caught. Report that fraud, and that will help everyone get a little more knowledgeable. So that's a little soapbox for me, but I think that's so important for the newcomer audience. One of the things that we do know is that newcomers, 73% of them, do have a desire to learn more about fraud. They know that it's a tricky area, and that's great because the first step is wanting to learn, and then the second is making sure that you're equipping yourself with information and tools. We know it's not a one size fits all approach for every business owner, for every newcomer to Canada. And so we try and create as much education and resources that we can, and then feed them through our partners like Access or the Butterfly app, or on our own website. We have a lot of different resources for newcomers and business owners.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Lauren, for those insights. It's quite clear that financial literacy is an ever evolving area that requires continuous innovation. But how does Interac ensure that its financial literacy initiatives remain relevant and responsive to these changing trends?
I think it's keeping our ears to the market, doing the research, investing our team's time and money and passion in making sure that we're still connected. Access Employment and the events that we do with them are a wonderful way to stay rooted in the real world of experience for newcomers. There's nothing like standing in a room and looking someone in the eyes and saying, what has it been like for you? To then really feel like, oh man, there's more to do, there's more work to be done. And that allows us to keep tailoring new experiences for the audiences that we serve. I mean, even just the work we're doing in Financial Literacy Month is an example. This year we're focused on newcomers. Last year we focused on fraud and scams. Every year we're trying to learn a little bit more about Canadians.
No, thank you, Lauren. I mean, staying ahead of these trends really ensures that newcomers have the tools that they need for lasting financial confidence. And listeners, remember that the financial literacy is a vital skill, and learning is a lifelong journey. So there's always room to grow. Please seek for resources such as Interac solutions. Now let's hear about some of Interac's latest accomplishments and how they contribute to your vision for supporting Canadians, because Interac has made impressive strides in supporting Canadians, especially through innovative programs and partnerships. Lauren, can you please tell us some more details about Interac's recent accomplishments and how they align with your vision of empowering Canadians financially?
Interac was built on that bedrock of being a low-cost solution for Canadians and for businesses specifically. So when newcomers come to Canada, we want them to see the Interac logo and think safe, secure, my own money. And whether that be as a business, accepting debit is the lowest cost way to allow your consumers to shop. Sending an e-transfer is a low cost way versus a check or a wire transfer to pay your employees if you're starting a new business, or even your suppliers or your partners. And we were built for that very purpose. It's unique to Canada. Not every country operates this way. And we want people to know that when they see our logo. So to that end, our recent accomplishments are really about driving the use of using your own money in new places. So you can now tap your debit card on transit in anywhere in the GTA, as well as Montreal and Vancouver, which is kind of a feat, right? Because if you think about, just think of it, I live in Toronto. Do you live in Toronto as well?
Yes.
Okay, so we get on the TTC, and for the longest time, you had to have a
card,
green
put
card
money on it.
and you would load money on it, which means it leaves your bank account and it sits somewhere else that someone else gets to use. And why? But that's not fair. Instead, you want to be able to keep your money as long as you need it and then use it as you see fit. So today you can tap your debit card to pay for transit. And that's another way that we're trying to help Canadians spend their own money versus letting anyone else spend it for them.
I personally love Interac solutions. I find them too game changing for daily use. And it's so inspiring to see Interac's commitment to fostering financial security and confidence for pretty much everyone, from newcomers to longtime residents. But Lauren, how does Interac plan to expand or build upon these recent accomplishments to further support or financial confidence across Canada?
A number of different ways. We've got a very ambitious 3-year plan for Interac that sees us doubling our product offerings. So you might think of Interac today as your debit company and your e-transfer company, and that's fine because those are very important products. But over the next couple of years, you're going to see us bring a new way of digital commerce coming to life, because one thing you can't do right now very well is pay online with your debit card, right? So that's something that we need to solve for. You're also going to see Interac show up in a lot of spaces around verification. So when you pay your taxes, you have to sign in. And wouldn't it be easier if you could see the Interac logo and say, okay, if I sign in with my Interac account, with my bank account, they know it's me and I know it's me, and no one can take that identity away from me. So that's an example of something you can do today, but we're going to see that happen in a lot more spaces. And then we talked a little bit about fraud before, but fraud as an issue for all Canadians is something that Interac can't solve on its own, but does have the relationships with banks in Canada, with telcos in Canada. Together, we need to solve that. Luckily, I don't have to personally solve that. I wouldn't even know where to begin, but my colleagues here at Interac are hard on the case and very smart when it comes to data, AI, and how that's going to support fraud prevention over time.
Thank you, Lauren, for sharing Interac's journey and the commitment to supporting Canadians. And it's quite clear that these initiatives, they make a meaningful impact. And to all the newcomers that are listening, please remember that you're not alone on your financial journey. Such great support is available, and small steps can lead to big progress. Now, Lauren, before we let you go, we've had a great pleasure having you on the show. It's so enlightening. What is that one final piece of advice that you'd offer to newcomers on building financial confidence?
Oh, such a great question. I would say speaking to your community out loud about what you're experiencing and asking questions is the first step. You do not have to do it on your own. It's not just you and a computer. It can be you and your friends and family and a computer. It can be you and your financial advisor at your bank. You do not have to do it alone. Use the resources that you find, get yourself settled, and know that you're, like you have said so many times in this conversation, it's a lifelong journey. So ask the questions, don't feel ashamed. And there is no stupid question when it comes to figuring out how to keep yourself safe and saving for your future.
Thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing your insights and the impactful work that Interac is doing. I mean, kudos to the team to supporting the newcomers, and it's been a great pleasure having you with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
And listeners, today we had the pleasure of speaking with Lauren Mostowyk, who shared valuable insights into the financial challenges that newcomers face and how Interac is stepping up to provide targeted support and resources. We'd like to provide our gratitude to her as well as to our partners, RBC, UPS, Constant Contact, IAG, and Google for their ongoing support, enabling us to bring these meaningful content to our listeners. To stay updated on more insights like these, please visit our website, CanadianSME.ca, and subscribe to the magazine. We'll see you next time.